Hey everybody, thanks for being here at the Canary Crime News Talk live stream, pre-stream. We're doing it. Some of you may have noticed, well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, because some of you aren't getting the text messages, even though you requested them. It's not my fault. It's up to the government or whatever organization makes me register that phone number. That is still in the process. But if you did get the text message, you got it a little early. Sorry about that. Accidentally just hit send. So we're here now. Quick favor, if everybody wants to tweet out a link or Facebook out a link or toot out a link, whatever you do, send a link to the live show. Just put it out there, even if you don't have a lot of followers or whatever. It helps the algos just to see our links floating around, so that would be very helpful. Other than that, today is the last day. The deadline is upon us, folks. It is the last day to sign up for the Canary Cry supply drop, which will be going out next month. So sign up today before 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, if you've been waiting, if you just haven't really thought about it, whatever the case may be, now's your time. Go sign up for the supply drop. And, not only is it just for you, for fun, to get the cool stuff we make, to be connected to the community of Canarians around the world, to have some cool gear, helpful gear, funny gear, all the cool stuff. But also, it's pretty much essential at this point for the survival of this show is for people to sign up for the supply drop. So become a producer, support the show, canarycrysupply.com. I will be dropping the link probably a couple times throughout the show. That goes directly to the supply drop sign up page. And, click on it and sign up. It's the only way that we're able to stay alive, both metaphorically for the show and physically for our human bodies. So here I go. I'm putting it in the chat. Gons, are you good? Everything good? Okay. Gon says he's ready, guys. So we're going to go ahead and start the show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is November 30th. 2022. We are live to tape on episode 565, and today, heard Ingenuity. And signing on for month of grade, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
Yay. My name is Gons, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, who also happens to be your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, aka the Cabana Boy. Live to tape here from California to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And there's lots of world events happening that stacked up against us because we sat out for a week and now we have to trim. But today's immersion phenomenon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Today's immersion phenomena exposed, Basil. Everything is getting exposed.
Oh my goodness!
Central banks, politicians, photographers,
so frequently and with such surgical precision. It's almost like it's on purpose.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a great show for you today. We're going to be revisiting some things we missed over the Thanksgiving break and giving, hopefully, as comprehensive of a rundown as possible on some super current events. But before we do that, Gons, you want to hear a rundown?
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. But we do have some things to say. Well, we're going to start off with as comprehensive of a rundown as we can on the Balenciaga situation, as well as some connections to some current events regarding the ongoing Epstein saga. Then we'll be checking in with the robots with the FLIPPY update. Of course, a little update on the San Francisco situation, and Japanese spider robots going to be spying on you in such an unnecessary way. Then in the first block, we're going to be talking about Russia, Ukraine, New World Order. What does it mean? The armaments of Taiwan and Ukraine, the battle between them. Where are these resources going? And then, of course, the heroic Ukrainian Geek Squad. We'll be talking about them as well. Second block, we got updates on the monkeypox. We got updates on super sort of reckless scientists who are setting us up for what all the elites have told us is going to happen next, which is, I don't know, could it be another pandemic? We'll tell you what is going on. Then, of course, vibranium has been discovered. We'll talk about the new minerals that have been found and what that might mean for some of the ongoing trends and forces we've been tracking. And then at the end of the show, a VR update, which we have not done for quite some time. Nice little throwback for old school Canary Cry news talkians, and how VR is becoming a matter of life and death. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, so to get into the whole Balenciaga, am I saying that right? It's a tough one to soak in.
You put such a fancy accent on it. You might think that you're some sort of luxury fashion designer.
Well, that's the world I come from, as you know. So
no, it isn't, and you shouldn't say that even in jest. Now's not the time.
Sure. The Hill had this headline to lead us into it. Jeffrey Epstein accusers sue banks they allege facilitating sex trafficking. And there was a whole bunch of other stories I had about the banks. There's a lot of financial shakeup happening. It's a great reset. We're in the middle of it. So, obviously the traditional markets, obviously crypto, the European Central Bank coming out and saying stuff. We might cover it on Friday. But to pile on,
it goes deeper.
Yeah, it definitely goes deeper. To pile on, women who accused the late Jeffrey Epstein of sexual abuse have sued Deutsche Bank, AG, and JP Morgan Chase and Co., arguing the banks enabled and financially benefited from Epstein's sex trafficking operation. Two separate lawsuits filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York Thursday alleged the banks knowingly benefited from, quote, assisting, supporting, facilitating, and otherwise providing the most critical service for the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking organization to successfully do really bad things to people in traffic and all that. So, pretty intense.
This is an interesting update. First of all, it's nice to know that things are still happening. The victims that have been sort of tirelessly working through the court system, some of them for like a decade, aren't stopping. They are not stopping, which is excellent. I believe that this is, they're doing the Lord's work as far as this goes. And, this harkens to a very interesting movement that we've seen in other situations, which is suing the banks in this case, but suing the services, the companies that even facilitate the transfer of money. Now, you might come to mind, one of these interesting versions of this was in the Canadian trucker protests. Right. It was kind of the first sampling of, at least here in the West, the powers that be using the ability to transfer money as a weapon against, in the truckers' case, what they thought was dangerous, national security issues. But this is a fun sort of turnaround where it is the people, the population, the civilians, using the law against the banks that may not have actually broken the law, but facilitated breaking of the law. I think there is a danger here to sort of normalize, giving precedent to banks to just turn off services to anyone that they want at any time. But we did see recently,
fiduciary responsibility to do so if they're going to be
if it is
hit with alleging facilitating.
Maybe that only kicks in though when it affects profits for shareholders. Sure. But there is a case to be made about that. More recently, you had Kanye getting his JP Morgan bank decided not to service
just
Kanye
drop him.
Yeah, which is another sort of precedent-setting thing. But this will be very interesting to see how this turns out. I do give kudos to the people staying on this like a dog with a bone, making sure that it doesn't just simply slip off into the silent night. Yeah. So we'll be keeping a track. That whole thing.
That's what we'll do.
It'll be interesting. The set a precedent for civilian people suing banks for simply doing business with individuals that they don't like. It could set a dangerous precedent.
I think also, part of the Great Reset, we've been talking about the network states and digital identification and becoming the geopolitical or geographical aspect of our citizenship becoming more and more obsolete. This plays into it. People are going to be herded into, hey, you're fully part of the ESG, the CBDCs, all that stuff, and some of the morality that's out in public, as we will see here as we continue on. People get to decide, hey, do you want to be part of that or something else? Being pushed out into some more decentralized things, and there's stuff to talk about there, but. Back on point here. How does this connect to the Balenciaga situation?
That's right. So Balenciaga, if you haven't heard, you are probably living out in the forest somewhere, but we'll be giving a quick review on some of the interesting details. So we'll start out by DailyMail. And this is interesting. No, we're not going to start with the DailyMail guns. We're going to start with the New York Times.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Is this the high fashion? We're not
going to start with the...
What are we doing?
I know. Yeah, we'll start with the New York Times here. So, okay. I believe that the New York Times brings a very interesting angle into the situation.
Don't they always?
Right.
Let me guess. Are they defending pedophiles?
They're certainly being accused of that. Mm-hmm. But to summarize the situation, because we are at the top of the show, we don't have time to read a whole bunch of articles about this. To summarize the situation, Balenciaga, luxury fashion brand, put out some marketing photographs from two separate marketing campaigns, one from this fall and one that was scheduled for this coming spring. And these photographs were highly disturbing. They actually came out quite a while ago, a few weeks ago. These were made public to the internet, at least. And so this story has been developing for a few weeks. Just like the past few days has it made it to the mainstream media. But I think it's very interesting, the timing of all this. So a few weeks back, they put out these photos, very disturbing, strange marketing photos with children and, BDSM gear and strange poses, the background, not the background, but the setting, the set of these photographs were littered with strange paraphernalia, certainly not appropriate to have children in those situations, but some explicitly even more inappropriate than just simply pearl clutching. And of course, in the world that has been sort of primed by Pizzagate in 2015, 2016, to QAnon, this has been floating around for 7 years or more in sort of a more popular online sense. And this Balenciaga story is one of the most interesting to me because for the first time ever, the mainstream media is having to take it seriously. We can just go through some of the headlines here. Let's jump over to the New York Post, Gons. New York Post had an article came out yesterday. Controversial Balenciaga designer Demna Gvasalia dragging house down amid BDSM ad backlash, says insiders. So you have New York Post. They kind of break down in quite some detail the inner workings of this controversy, even pointing out some of the very specific evidence of this. Some of the evidence that is troubling people, besides having teddy bears and BDSM gear and children in strange poses. In one of the photographs, the on the table or whatever next to the child was a stack of papers. You zoom into that stack of papers. It's actually paperwork from a Supreme Court ruling, and this was specifically a Supreme Court ruling on promoting child pornography on the internet, specifically, in photographic form.
So you're questioning.
And
Supreme Court documents questioning the promotion of child pornography.
Sure, and how it has to do with free speech. Is child pornography, how does that interact with free speech? So obviously, it's one thing if the document was like, child pornography is absolutely horrible and evil and has no place in polite society. But this specific document was talking about, is child pornography free speech? So you've got an interesting connection to some current events, both politically and, in popular culture. You've got the Elon, the free speech, the this, the that. I believe that this particular detail does sort of lean in the direction of painting Elon and free speech advocates, with a strange discolored brush with hues of child pornography, which, of course, from a mainstream liberal perspective, is an excellent setup to help, take down Twitter, take down Elon, that whole battle. But at the same time, you got to remember, Elon has explicitly talked about cracking down on child pornography on Twitter, which the previous Twitter ownership and such did a very poor job at. Yeah. Now, continuing on, we've got this article from DailyMail.com.uk. Balenciaga plans to file $25 million lawsuit against producers of controversial handbag ad that included SCOTUS child porn ruling after apologizing over bondage teddy bears. So this is a bit of the response of Balenciaga. For about a week or so now, they've been putting out apologies, and really, honestly, you read the apologies and it's like, okay, this is just a lame attempt at corporate, damage control, basically. And I think in more of a PR move than anything, they're actually suing the production company that did the production on the advertisements. Now, I actually went down the rabbit hole on the conversation that's being had within the production industry. And of course, everybody in the production industry is like, nothing whatsoever gets out to the public from these things without 100% sign off, not only from the creative leads over at Balenciaga, but also the legal team, the executive leadership. It's just impossible to think that suing the production company is anything but a sort of smokescreen. However, anybody on set or during the planning phases of this shoot should have known better. They should have walked
said
off.
Something. Yeah.
They should have, not necessarily redeeming the production company or necessarily defending them in a moral way. Definitely every single person on set would have had the opportunity to, if not, change it or try or, escalate the situation to the top.
Yeah. Or start asking questions at the very least. This is, you and I are both, our history, we met as tech people at a church.
Yeah, we both have experience in the production side of things.
It would be very obvious if something was taking place as part of the production and it was questionable. It would be very obvious to the people.
An individual can just walk off a set. You don't need to follow through with something that you don't feel is or is illegal or whatever.
Illegal. Yeah, sure,
so
everything.
they're trying to sue the production company. I don't know. I doubt that'll work, but it's a good piece of PR to try to. It's funny because their apologies are like, "We take responsibility for this. We cannot believe we let this happen under our watch, but we're also suing someone else because it's their fault." It's like, that's not what taking responsibility means.
That really bothers me though, as a multi-year tech and just doing production, because oftentimes when you're tech, the sentiment is you sort of, if everything goes right, then you don't get any credit. You just did your job. But if something goes wrong, it's your fault. It's the people, the tech people messed it up, So it's
at best you're forgotten.
Right.
At worst, you get the credit when something goes wrong.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's not surprising. That's a pretty normal tactic for a group like Balenciaga. However, as people are discovering and is making it into the mainstream, Balenciaga kind of has a history of these sorts of things. Now, of course, for people like us and our listeners and our colleagues and everything, hearing about a high-end, elite fashion brand using the imagery of pedophilia is nothing new and not surprising whatsoever. But in this case, what is surprising is the way that the mainstream media is talking about this. So now I want to head to the New York Times. And of course, the New York Times is kind of like the only outlet, at least attempting to say, guys, this is no big deal. Trying to use their propagandistic skills, put it to use here. And a couple interesting points. NewYorkTimes.com, when high fashion and QAnon collide.
When worlds collide.
This is a dead giveaway immediately to what is to follow, because none of the other mainstream outlets, by the way, Fox did a bunch of reporting on this too. Pretty much everybody has at this point, but I could not find a single other mainstream outlet that connected this with QAnon. And I thought that was fascinating because, especially over the past couple of years, they will connect anything to QAnon that they could possibly spin and that they want to discredit immediately. Connecting something to QAnon is an immediate discreditation of the facts of the story.
It's on the list of the to-dos. If something comes up, it's like, well, let's see. Does it fit QAnon? Close enough.
Got to compare it to Trump. Got to compare it to QAnon. Got to connect it to Russia. QAnon used to be, a big one, and we really haven't heard a whole lot out of the media regarding QAnon recently, but we are moving into the 2024 election season, so get ready for more of it. But the New York Times, really one of the only mainstream outlets connecting this situation to QAnon. And it reads like this. I'm going to be skipping around quite a bit because it's quite long, but they've got some interesting details. But I'll open up with the article here. Ever since Dima became artistic director of Balenciaga in 2015, the storied brand has become a lightning rod for controversy. often intentionally so. So starting off with just, hey, yeah, man, this is just what these guys do.
They're marketing geniuses.
They're trolls, man. They're just challenging what fashion is. They do this on purpose. So nobody's saying that they didn't do this on purpose. In fact, the only people who are saying they didn't do this on purpose is Balenciaga themselves. So you have New York Times trying to make a case that even Balenciaga doesn't agree with. See, remaking IKEA's 99-cent shopping bag as a luxury good, putting heels on Crocs, selling destroyed sneakers for $1,850, dressing Kim Kardashian in a head-to-toe black body stocking for the Met Gala, and sending models who looked like refugees down the runway carrying trash bags made of expensive leather. The outrage provoked by such moments often seemed to be the whole point. Do you remember any outrage about any of those things? They're building a narrative here that is simply that. It's a narrative crafted by New York Times, narrative magicians. What outrage was there when Kim Kardashian wore a black body stocking to the Met Gala?
I will tell you, the only people actually pointing out, hey, this seems like some weird occult symbolism, or maybe the small fringy group of truthers that would point it out.
The weird podcasters, the weird fringe podcasters are the only ones.
Yeah. So
the outrage provoked by such moments often. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Often seemed to be the whole point. Each only bolstered the reputation of Dima's Balenciaga as a brand that forces consumers to grapple with the very meaning of taste. Ooh. Now, however, the release of two campaigns by Balenciaga, which is owned by Kering, the French luxury conglomerate that also owns brands like Gucci and Saint Laurent, has taken the public opprobrium to a new level. Cool word. One campaign featured photos of children clutching handbags that look like teddy bears in bondage gear. Another campaign featured photos that include paperwork about child pornography laws. Together, they ignite a firestorm that traveled from the internet to Fox News.
Whoa, that's an interesting pipeline. Mm-hmm. The internet to Fox News.
Right. And remember, this is coming from New York Times. So knowing their MO and what we've seen in the past, connect that pipeline, internet to Fox News. That is the pipeline of misinformation, of lies, of politically motivated conspiracy theories. So right off the bat, they may not be outright defending Balenciaga in blatant terms, but they are building the narrative that is, stop it. This is just another QAnon nonsense.
Right. He's just doing high-level fashion and design and marketing that you peons won't understand.
And yes, and all those dumb Trump supporters just don't understand art and fashion. Together, they ignited a firestorm that traveled from the internet to Fox News, fueled by allegations that Balenciaga condoned child exploitation. The controversy has become one of the most explicit collisions. Now listen to this. First of all, it's controversy. So, you can, there's fine people on both sides when there's a controversy, New York Times. But the controversy has become one of the most explicit collisions of internet culture, politics, fashion, and conspiracy theories to date. Oh, so folks, you really need to stop and think about this, okay? This is just an explicit collision. This is just worlds colliding, okay? It's the intersection of different kinds of people thinking different ways, not explicit normalization and glamorization of child abuse and pedophilia. No, it's not that. It's just different worlds colliding and not getting along.
We're going to do New York Times a favor. I think what you are trying to say is that what this is simply...
Most modeling is kind of acting like a beast, but making it fashion. Beast. But then make it fashion.
That's all they have to say. This is beast fashion.
It's true.
What's wrong? What's wrong with you guys? You guys can't get on board with beast fashion? That's your problem, QAnon conspiracy theorist.
This is the epitome of beast fashion, a segment that we've been doing on this show for like 5 years. This, sometimes we don't know why we focus on ridiculous, things, and then it turns out that it's exactly what the world needed 5 years later. Now, they have some sub-headlines in this article that range from completely pointless to absolutely offensive. Now,
a lot of their sub-headlines are questions. That they answer themselves. It's like, who's asking these questions? Oh, they are. Okay. And they're answering it too? Okay.
So one of them is, what happened first? And then they go into the history of it, just the recent few weeks of the thing. Sure. Then they say, wait, there were 2 different ad campaigns? As if that matters at all. That there was 2 different ad campaigns. And this is a strategy we've seen plenty of times when New York Times in particular, but the mainstream as a whole, uses as a way to give the impression that a conspiracy theory is so complex and convoluted that it couldn't possibly be true. The fact that there were 2 different ad campaigns that were repeat offenders is what that means. Is they were repeat offenders of glamorizing child pornography, pedophilia, things like that. But asking the very question, like, wait a second, I'm confused. There were 2 ad campaigns? Yeah, we've seen you do this before. It is needlessly complexifying the details in a way that suggests that dots are being connected that shouldn't be connected. I'm not going to read it. It's complete nonsense. The next one, the internet is full of trolls. Why did this controversy take off? Again, the very questioning of the idea that a worldwide luxury brand that markets and sells explicitly to the elites of the world, asking why a company like that would promote child pornography and pedophilia is simply the most offensive strategy that they could possibly take in belittling the severity of the offense. And they do it all the time. I will read something real quick, because this is where they make the connection with QAnon. As online criticism of the campaign spread, the story was picked up across right-leaning media outlets. Again, discrediting the story right off the bat, including the New York Post and the primetime Fox News show Tucker Carlson Tonight. So if Tucker talks about it, then you know it's just some crazy conspiracy theory. The show has helped to publicize and mainstream, talking about Tucker, who talked about Balenciaga, the show has helped to publicize and mainstream QAnon, the internet conspiracy theory that a group of Satan-worshipping elites who run a child sex ring are trying to control our politics and media. I will give them credit here. This is the first time I've ever seen mainstream outlet actually quote the definition of QAnon instead of trying to articulate it themselves and doing a very poor job. They just took the quote straight from Tucker Carlson.
Usually there's a reference to Hillary Clinton in basements and pizza shops.
Right. QAnon this is how it's usually, and it's been described this way in the New York Times. QAnon is a conspiracy theory that Hillary Clinton ran a pedophile ring out of a pizza shop, right? That's usually what QAnon is wrapped up in. But taking the quote straight from Tucker Carlson actually did a pretty good job of summing it up. A group of Satan-worshipping elites who run a child sex ring are trying to control our politics and media. I don't think we could really argue at that description. Quote, here, you have a major international retail brand, this is still quoting Tucker, promoting kiddie porn and sex with children, Mr. Carlson told viewers on November 22nd, and not promoting it subtly, but right in the open. Which is a pretty reasonable way to describe it, right? But the fact is the New York Times, and they're quoting Tucker Carlson, is obviously aiming to discredit the whole, not discredit any sort of theory, but discrediting the very idea of being uncomfortable with what Balenciaga did.
They're trying to socially engineer the masses to believe that this is not morally apprehensible. It's more like, oh, it's just marketing. It's a cultural art.
It's cultural, and it's part of the culture war.
Right.
It's the bad guys in the culture war who are freaking out about this. So if you freak out about this, you're taking the side of the bad guys in the culture war.
You're a troll if you take this.
Exactly.
QAnon troll.
The troll thing is a good point too, because that's just discrediting it in the way of, you're just making a big deal about it because you want to make people mad.
Right.
You're just some sort of scoundrel.
But it's what people do when they're cornered, right? They start blaming things that don't make any sense. That's kind of what the New York Times is doing here. But it's been interesting to watch New York Times in the last few weeks, especially with the way and a lot of mainstream have treated Sam Bankman-Fried and his situation, and they're kind of painting him as, oh, he's just a guy, he messed up, whatever. Similar here, where they're not really defending Balenciaga like fully, but they're kind of like, yeah, but look, it's these other people that are freaking out about it.
So that's exactly right. And that says a lot about the actual facts of the story. Yeah. The New York Times cannot even refute any of the facts of the story because the facts are there. They're on record. Everybody sees them. They can't come out and say, Alex Jones, a notable conspiracy theorist, presented baseless claims. Notice the word baseless doesn't appear anywhere in this article. And so they go on with another subheadline. Where did the copy of the Supreme Court decision come from? Who approved it as a prompt? So they take 4 or 5 paragraphs to describe that the set of the photograph was supposed to be just fake office documents, and nobody knows where those documents came from. Oh, we took the props from another television show, and so we didn't even know what was going on in there. Yeah, it's pretty. It's ridiculous on its face, and what an extraordinary coincidence, not conspiracy theory, but an extraordinary coincidence that your marketing material explicitly glamorizing child pornography just accidentally had fake office documents referring to a Supreme Court document on free speech and child pornography.
That is some paying attention to detail when it comes to a set piece there. So would show a lot of intentionality. But this is, again, I feel like it's just hurting people. People into, are you for this or against this? And these issues, they are extremely divisive on a moral moral grounds. So, as it becomes mainstreamed, people are really going to start making decisions about where they're going to spend their time online or whatever. And it's going to be interesting to watch as things are, resetting.
And here's what this is. There are times when we report on the mainstream, reporting things like this, deconstructing, analyzing what they say, how they report things, how they frame things. And, our analysis leans on, they are preparing the way. They are programming people so they can use these triggers, so they can use the culture war, so they can use emotion to later defend something horrible, right? This is not that. This is not paving the way to be able to activate the programming in people. This is what they've been preparing for. Yeah. This is not a symptom of what they've been planning for. This is the exact moment that they have been programming and engineering how normies read the news to deflect and protect some of their elite friends. So, oftentimes we're like, oh, see how what they're doing this, what they said there, the tools they're using, they're doing this to prepare you to accept something later. That is not this. This is what they've been trying to prepare the main the society as a whole. This is the activation of that programming, and it's so blatant, it's silly. Now, just to wrap it up here, one of the sub-headlines is Balenciaga also suing the photographer of the gift shop campaign? That is a stupid question. Who cares? Why? It's so specific. We already know that they're suing the production company. Why would it even matter if they are also suing the photographer? You'd think, well, that's probably wrapped up with the production company. Well, in this case, they really wanted to point it out because the actual photographer is a guy named Gabriel Galimberti. And Gabriel Galimberti is famous. Now, I knew about this guy because I follow National Geographic on Instagram. And on Instagram, National Geographic has posted some stuff from this guy. He works with them all the time. And one of his long-standing projects, as he travels the world taking photos for National Geographic, is he does this project where he finds children of other countries, and he has those children lay out in front of them all of their toys. And he claims, our toys, they're so much of who we are, who we turn into. They're a reflection of our family and our culture. A children's toys. It's actually a fairly interesting project, but this whole situation has really put a bad taste in everybody's mouth about it. So for years, he's been taking pictures of children in all sorts of countries. They lay out their toys. They stand there. They look very proud, showing off their toys to this American photographer, and he takes their picture. This is the same guy who's the photographer for these photographs of children with hopefully not their toys, but somebody's toys laid out all in front of them, not just including like weird sexual objects, but occult books and alcohol and drug paraphernalia. And the details on some of the objects in these pictures are so strange. There is caution tape, a roll of caution tape that had Balenciaga on it, but it had two A's in Balenciaga, so it looked like Bale, which of course, is connected to sacrifice of children, etc. There's books left in these scenes that are art books filled with images of children missing limbs and covered in blood. It's just horrific. And the context of the photographer who has been spending like 10 years or something taking pictures all around the world of children with their toys makes this extraordinarily disturbing. But this is what New York Times has to say about Gabriel Galimberti. It says, is Balenciaga also suing the photographer of the gift shop campaign? No, period. No, they're not suing this guy. Mr. Galimberti had nothing to do with the garde-robe campaign. Except for he took the pictures, but had nothing to do with it. He also didn't... Right? He's just the guy who pressed the button.
Anyone can push the button. I mean, come on. It's just a camera.
Anybody could push the button. And it's also, copying his exact style of his 10-year project, taking pictures of children with their toys. But no,
his Toy Story project.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
He also did not make the decision to feature children with their bear bags in the gift shop campaign.
What?
Okay. Yeah, he didn't make the decision. Duh. That's like, hello.
No, that was his. That's his shtick. That's people come to him for the children and the photos. So that makes no sense.
Here's his defense. He said that Balenciaga had told him the theme of the shoot was punk. Yeah, so he shows up on set. There's a child surrounded by inappropriate objects and in strange poses and weird, documents about child pornography. And he looks at that and he says, "What's going on here? I don't know. And they're like, it's just punk, bro. Aren't you cool? What? You're not punk rock? He goes, okay, all right.
Sure,
I guess this is what punk is. No, they're letting this guy off the hook. Balenciaga, in its November 28th statement, said, quote, our plush bear bags in the gift collection should not have been featured with children. This was a wrong choice by Balenciaga, combined with our failure in assessing and validating images. The responsibility for this lies with Balenciaga alone. This is Balenciaga admitting total responsibility and then goes ahead and sues the company. In other words, don't blame the photographer, but the nuance was lost amid the heat of reaction. So then it goes on and demonizes people who are blaming the photographer, stuff like that. Then it goes on just to kind of sum it up. There's some there's some details here. Now, this could be considered sort of defending Balenciaga, but it's just the New York Times doing what the New York Times does best, which is protecting elites. I'm kind of going to skip around a bit. In the United States, home to the world's largest luxury market, the reputational damage from the continuing firestorm could be seismic for Balenciaga, a brand more used to being lauded for its ability to tap into the cultural moment than excoriated for its missteps. So Balenciaga, they're so good at tapping into the cultural moment, and they're never attacked like this. Well, I would say that once again, they've done an excellent job at tapping into the cultural moment, which is the broad understanding that the elites of our societies around the world are not held responsible for committing the horrible crimes that they do, often in plain sight. I would say, again, Balenciaga doing a wonderful job of tapping in to this cultural moment. And could this all have been on purpose? Yeah, it possibly could. It does provide an opportunity, once again, to discredit anyone who has anything bad to say about the elites. Then it goes into Kanye and Kim Kardashian, and it's kind of pointless. But there was an interesting detail where Kanye he actually represented Balenciaga for quite some time, but then, well, it says here, Balenciaga terminated its professional relationship with Ye days after shooting the gift shop campaign last month. This was in October, because of the rapper and fashion designer's incendiary and anti-Semitic comments made during and after Paris Fashion Week. Even so, Ye mentioned the controversy over Balenciaga's campaigns on November 26th while speaking to paparazzi. Quote, "You don't see no celebrities talking about the Balenciaga situation," he said. So, of course, Kanye wrapped up in this whole thing. There is something to be said about Kanye, I don't know, getting kicked off before any of this started and having no problem criticizing them, bringing this kind of conversation, but I'm not going to give him that much credit. Then it talks about Kim Kardashian, which nobody cares about. So that is the New York Times doing their best to not quite step over the line and actively protect or explicitly protect pedophilia, but indeed, they are doing their best to reduce the situation. Sorry, that review was not as short as I was hoping, but there was a lot of stuff in there. And with that, Gons, it's Wednesday.
Is it? I think it's Thursday now. You went pretty long there, buddy.
Thank you.
You had a lot to say about it.
It is Wednesday,
Let's go.
My dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what date it is? It's Wednesday. Time for the Canary Cry News Sucker. Yeehaw!
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dudes.
Woo.
That's right. It is Wednesday, Gons. Do you have anything personal to report?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
No.
Okay. Yeah. No, I will give an update on my sleeping situation.
Yeah.
I have improved the situation through sheer force of will, have been able to get more than an hour and a half of sleep the past couple nights, but we're still not up to snuff here. I think I got about 5 hours last night, which honestly is a huge relief, but still working on it, folks. So apologies if I'm a little loopy today, but we're working on it. Thank you, everybody, for your tips, for your well wishes, for all your commiseration. I appreciate it very much. And we'll just keep the ball rolling here, Gons. Let's thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. And that is the fun part. Corporate money has no place in independent media, especially when you are trying to take positions that are not brand friendly. And again, advertisement in particular is, basically the corporately sanctioned mind control to make us unhappy with the way our lives are going and convince us that simply purchasing a product will finally bring us the happiness and fulfillment that we wish. It's just sort of generally not a great thing in the world. In fact, marketing, advertising is the justification for such problems such as deplatforming, demonetization, all this kind of stuff that we see so much of. But it's also, marketing, advertising, that's exactly the room in which the Balenciaga issue took place. And so from top to bottom, advertising and marketing, while not inherently evil, is not something that we've decided we want to use to continue doing this show. Instead, we're on the value for value model. If you get any value out of what we do, consider becoming a producer. They are real credits. It is an absolutely essential part of keeping this show going. It would not continue if it were not for our producers. And we got a couple executive producers coming in, Guns. Let's thank them.
Let's do it.
Executive producers.
Yeah.
Boonch, 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 boonch.
There's a new thing here.
Yeah, you play your executive producers jingle. Or did you already do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep. Let's thank them now. First of all, we have executive producer Rab of Western Russia.
Rab, where's my little thing? What's going on? Here it is.
I don't know.
There it is.
Rab. Rab comes in with 11111.
Nice.
And he says, "Hello, comrades. This is I, Rab of Western Russia. This is secret communicate to Basalinsky. Comrade, to keep your identity safe, we have decided to give you code name to stop the forces of liberty, knowing your true identity. From now on, you will be Agent Derwin. Can't stop a cough." Agent Derwin can't stop a cough. Okay. I get it. Can't stop a cough. It's a Russian name. Can't stop a cough.
I see.
Yeah, it's very funny. P.S. Could Comrade Dove, I've got an itch to create more glorious propaganda art of the defiant rooster of the revolution. We've got a request from the homeland. Producer Dove, we need more propaganda rooster art. Yes, okay. Well, thank you, executive producer Rab of Western Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got sucked into a rabbit hole.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Rab of WWR.
Western Russia. Thank you. Oh, good. My hard drive is full, so my recording stopped. We'll have to change my scratch disk. I will do that in a moment. Next, we have executive. I can't get out of the the accent.
Your Russia has been activated.
It's taken over. Yes, my code phrase. Next up, we have executive producer Dustin H. coming in with $133. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dustin H. Oh, does that make you Illuminatus? I suppose it does.
Yes. Illuminatus. Thank you very much. Executive producers Rab of Western Russia and executive producer Dustin H. No note.
No note. Did we play the?
No.
Now I'm losing my mind. Did we play the little jingle for Dustin H?
No.
No, we didn't.
Where'd you find
We did
this?
What's happening?
Mhm.
What's happening to our brains?
I-
Maybe we're
We
reading
have
too
a
much
lot
news.
of things going on.
Yeah.
We have been reading too much news. Okay, that's our executive producership for today. Thank you guys so much. We could not do the show without you. And real quick, Guns, I have a very quick announcement about the supply drop.
Mm-hmm.
Canary Cry supply drop, baby. It is the deadline today for signing up for the Canary Cry supply drop. This is for producers who choose to produce the show for $33.33 a month. That's just $2.77 per episode. And it is these folks who are going a long way to help carry this show during, uncertain economic times. And it's the only way. And look, all of our producers are beloved and treasured, but the supply drop producers have been a huge help over the past few months. So we thank you very much. And today is the last day to sign up for the supply drop for the fourth quarter. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the supply drop. It has gone so well. I do want to give a humongous shout out, of course, to producer Isaac for being the point man.
Thank you, Isaac.
And an enormous shout out to producer Ebony Blaze for her work on the Canary Cry calendar.
Yes.
And not only from you and I, Gons, to our Dame Ebony Blaze, actually, for so much stuff that she does for us, but she also is like the point person for the Canary Cry calendar, which is I've said it, I'll say it again, one of the most treasured items that we have ever made or had made for us. The Canary Cry calendar, which is a calendar which is chock-a-block full of art by our producers, brand new custom art, by the way. We're not repurposing art, as well as dates, holidays, important anniversaries for secret society topics, conspiracy theory topics, biblical holidays, and of course, notable dates for this show. It's a wonderful treasure, and I think everybody should get in on the Canary Cry calendar. And the only way to do it is to sign up for the supply drop. You can check your email. If you're on our email list, you'll have easy links to get there. But also, you can just go to canarycrysupply.com. And I highly recommend you do. I will say this. The supply droppers who are signing up right now at the end of 2022, it's really giving us a picture of what we believe we'll be able to do for next year, 2023. It's kind of setting up our expectations for our budget, for the growth opportunities we want to take advantage of, for the special projects, for the, just everything having to do with our big plans for next year. The supply droppers are a metric to what we are able or might be able to do next year. So if you want to, support the show, put some value back in, and receive awesome stuff, and help give us an idea of how many steps forward we can take next year, now is a great time to sign up. And you do so by going to canarycrysupply.com.
Yep. And yeah, we've been showing
We're all
the
waiting
calendar
for the supply drop. Oh, yes. Good.
Yeah, the calendar art on the screen there so you guys can check it out. And yeah, this is going to be very important and vital resource for you because 2023, I think it's going to be the year of genetics. 2023 and me. Eh? Get it? No?
Oh, I see. Yes.
All right.
You know what we have to do? We have to revisit our predictions that we made for 2022.
Yeah, we wrote them down somewhere.
Remember we made those predictions on New Year's last year?
Yeah, and I also saw in the chat it's somebody's birthday. Nice.
Okay.
Twist's birthday. I think they're always in the chat, so happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
There we go.
All right. Well, I say we just keep on moving, huh?
Uh-huh.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update has been in the chamber for quite some time, Cons. We have been looking for a moment to share this one. Now, I will say there is an update on the San Francisco, California Police Department and their attempt first to sneak in armed robots and gain permission to kill people with robots. First, they tried to sneak it in. Then they were more explicit about it. And my browser is nice and slow right now. But we do have an update, and this update is coming from CNN, and the headline speaks for itself. San Francisco supervisors vote to allow police to use robots to kill. So it has passed, folks. The San Francisco, the bastion of liberal policy, has officially allowed their police to kill people using robots.
We may have, maybe it was, I think maybe Sharon Gilbert over there at PID Radio was the first to sort of mention how the robot uprising would start in Silicon Valley, like an actual robot army. So I've heard her say that years ago. So maybe, she was right about some of that stuff. But yeah, no surprises. And Of course, it's, we've been tracking this stuff. You've been tracking it. All the people listening out there too. So no surprises, but it really, here we go. And to mention, when I was talking to my church FBI point man, I may have mentioned it before, but he, as part of the SWAT team over there at the FBI, when they do roundups and stuff, he said that the robots that go in was a complete game changer in terms of safety and precautions and everything else. So I'm not surprised that, it would come to the police force here, seeing it's been very useful for, organizations like the FBI and others. So
right,
it was only a matter of time, really. And it was hopium, all that Boston Dynamics talk about, we're not going to put weapons on our robots. That was all just propaganda.
Yeah. Well, it's that slippery slope, man. People talk about the slippery slope, and then they belittle the concept of the slippery slope. And we've been tracking the slippery slope of killer robots for quite some time. And we finally come to a point where they just really don't really care anymore. And there was so little friction, too. It was really impressive. Yeah. But speaking of so little friction, Gons, let's head on over to Japan, because we've got a Flippy update regarding your homeland there.
We'll control them with toileting.
Indeed, they will control us with toileting. Today's Flippy update comes with IoT World Today. That's Internet of Things, worldtoday.com. The headline, Robotic Spiders. Wonderful. Robotic spiders. It's off to a great start.
We don't have to. No more analysis. That's all we need to say.
That's
robotic spiders.
Robotic spiders inspect Japanese sewers.
That's right. Add a boy, my homeland, making good use of those brains.
Could not stop at testing sewer water for all sorts of nasty things. No, we had to put robot spiders down there. So if you're in Japan, next time you're in Japan, using the toilet there, make sure to take a peek down the pipe before going for it. It goes like this: a troop of spider-like crawling robots are set to take to Japan's sewers for maintenance and inspection work. Of course, inspection work, I'm sure.
Inspecting people.
Mm-hmm. As the nation's construction industry grapples with ongoing labor shortages. So, of course, in the context of not enough humans, we got to get the robots on board. The multi-legged robot known as SPD-1 was designed by robotics company TMS UK and reportedly created a response to a request from a road and sewage pipe maintenance company facing a shortage of workers. SPD-1 is fitted with an array of LED spotlights and sensors to identify and navigate its surroundings, as well as an onboard 360-degree camera that streams real-time videos to workers outside. Oh, good. Good. So not only do you have a robot with cameras rolling around your sewer system there, ready to sneak up on any unsuspecting toilet users, but there's also cameras and it's live streaming.
Do you think they'll develop AI personalities? You know, like, hey, this is SBD1 number 5.8. Check out
they
this.
Should all have their own Twitch channel.
Looks like a District 5 was eating some real rough sushi the last couple weeks.
What's up, fam? This is your boy SPD1. Make sure to like and subscribe. Today I'm going to be crawling up into the sewer pipes of this apartment building. I'm going to be doing an unboxing of my haul today. So make sure to like and subscribe and get my merch in my merch store. The remote-controlled robot is connected to an operator via cable with a game console controller for its motions. The robots can be used either individually or in a group. Good. Swarm those little guys. And the devices are capable of being linked together by a cable to perform different tasks on a job, with one navigating, one identifying areas for repair, and the last performing maintenance via robotic arm. Flippy, attached to a spider crawling through your sewers. I love it. Flippy has gone to the bottom of the ocean. He's gone into space. He's made it into your local burger shop, and now he's crawling around in your sewers. Thank you very much, Flippy, for your tireless work.
Yeah, this is troubling for me in particular. Japan leading the world in depopulation. You know, their birth rate is extremely low. And I'm hearing a lot more about the slowdown of population growth now that we've surpassed 8 billion officially. They're saying that it's going to slow down, and it's time. It's time for the robots to really start taking over. So it would make sense that we're seeing this in Japan, where, again, a lot of the workforce, a lot of like just jobs in general are going to be overtaken by robots, and it'll replace a lot of the population literally and economically and everything else. So, yeah, you know, of course, sewer surveillance and spiders too. Like that's
right. So make sure to check those toilet bowls, Japanese producers, and thank you for your courage. That's your Flippy update for today.
Russia.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Okay, so we have a story here from the Wall Street Journal, and the headline: U.S. effort to arm Taiwan faces new challenge with Ukraine conflict. Flow of weapons to Kyiv taxes an already stretched U.S. defense industrial base. Okay, so, you know, there's been a lot of news that, obviously, just throughout the year with Ukraine, Russia, the situation, there's lots of details to be looked at and investigated. But this one in particular was interesting because it speaks to the role of the military-industrial complex and where things are financially, and it just seems like everything is so topsy-turvy as part of the Great Reset. It's fascinating to see the tensions and the overbooking, maybe, but also the tactics that the U.S. government and the military-industrial complex takes in helping out the world. So here's what it says: Washington. U.S. government and congressional officials fear the conflict in Ukraine is exacerbating a nearly $19 billion backlog of weapons bound for Taiwan, further delaying efforts to arm the island as tensions with China escalate. The U.S. has pumped billions of dollars of weapons into Ukraine since the Russian invasion in February, taxing the capacity of the government and defense industry to keep up with a sudden demand to arm Kyiv in a conflict that isn't expected to end soon. The flow of weapons to Ukraine is now running up against the longer-term deals or longer-term demands of a U.S. strategy to arm Taiwan to help it defend itself against a possible invasion by China, according to congressional and government officials familiar with the matter. The backlog of deliveries, which was more than $14 billion last December, has grown to $18.7 billion, according to congressional officials and others familiar with the matter. Included in the backlog are an order made in December of 2015, 7 years ago, for 208 Javelin anti-tank weapons, and a separate one at the same time for 215 surface-to-air Stinger missiles. None of them have arrived on the island, according to congressional sources and people familiar with the matter. They keep saying that. So there, I mean, we can go further into some of the details. Yes, this is important. The weaponry is part of Washington's porcupine strategy to arm Taiwan in a way that raises the cost to China should it decide to invade. So it's kind of an economic tactic, I suppose, against China.
That's the interesting part about this is, of course, we're sending literal weapons over to Ukraine, mostly older stockpiles from the U.S., right? But Taiwan has actually purchased weapons from us back in 2015 that still haven't been delivered. And that particular weapon, the Javelin, that is infamously the one that we are depleting our own resources of to send over to Ukraine.
We got lasers now. We don't need these slow, clunky javelins.
Right. Well, it's interesting. What you kind of alluded to there, the sale is on paper now. And they're talking about that porcupine strategy where they're really just trying to arm Taiwan enough so that China doesn't get any funny ideas.
They don't get comfortable.
Make it expensive, make it costly for China to invade or something. And having those weapons on paper is a really interesting way of doing that without actually having to send the weapons, because you can say, yeah, we sold a whole bunch of Javelin weapons to Taiwan, and here's the receipt. And so don't even try it, China, because look at all these weapons we sold them. And then we don't necessarily have to actually send the weapons because it's kind of this scare tactic. It's like on paper, it looks expensive to invade Taiwan.
I think this is Asian hate. Quote, Taiwan would like to request that the weapons the U.S. sells to Taiwan be delivered as scheduled. General Wang Xinlong, the vice minister for armament at Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense, said last month. So, very cordial, very political, but firm.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, can we have those things now we bought 7 years ago? We keep sending it to Ukraine. What is this, Asian hate?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in May, when asked about Taiwan's announced plans to look at alternatives to the delayed howitzers, John Kirby, then a Pentagon spokesman, said Ukraine wasn't the cause of the backlog. Of course, Ukraine can never do anything wrong. It's their perfect country. Mr. Kirby said deliveries to Ukraine were drawn from existing stockpiles. Didn't you just say that what the Ukraine needed or what they asked for and what they bought was from the existing stockpiles?
Yep, that's exactly right. We're just sending them our old stuff. And it's been interesting, too, because some of the reports coming out of Ukraine, who knows how legit it is, but the reports are, especially with these Javelin missile systems, that they're so old. They're our old stockpile that we didn't use in Afghanistan or something. Yeah. And they're so old that their Javelin missile systems are arriving and the batteries are dead, and they're all like out of function. I don't know exactly how legit that is, but that's what some of the reporting has said. Yeah,
some adapter company will make a good killing. Hey, you got to buy these adapters to charge these missiles.
Don't know if you can get Javelin missile launcher batteries on Amazon.
I'm sure that's where the governments can operate the black markets and make a little extra cash, is doing stuff like that. Executives at Lockheed Martin Corps, Boeing Company, and other defense companies say pandemic-driven supply chain problems have set back production for many systems and that they have struggled to keep up with orders even before Russia's invasion of Ukraine boosted demands. But somehow we just keep sending it to Ukraine and not to Taiwan. So, interesting. And the tactic of, leveraging the future to conduct current activity, rolling out agendas, military or not. It seems to be one of the big reasons why we're in this mess we're in now is all this debt, and this is a form of debt if you want to, say it that way. It's sort of a, we sold it to him. We owe you weapons, Taiwan. Hey, don't worry, and I'm wondering if there's a make good or something, if something gets out of hand, hey, we never sent them to you, but hey, we're going to send, whatever, some high-level fighter things to defend you when China comes raining down on you or something like that.
It's ironic because the electronics that go into those high-level weapon systems, the semiconductors that run the computers on these weapons are made in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And so you got to get the semiconductors from Taiwan, assemble them with U.S. companies, and then send the semiconductors back. And really, our protection of Taiwan is all about semiconductors because everything in the world uses, all the electronics use semiconductors, and Taiwan makes 90% of the semiconductors in the world. Well, Biden and Pelosi's CHIPS Act that they are so excited about, making investments to make our own semiconductors in the next 10 years in the U.S. That is explicitly trying to not rely on Taiwan. So it's this really fine balancing act in investing in Taiwan to keep our semiconductors coming, but really only do it long enough to
build our own stuff going, to have it going enough here, or at least domestically, so that we can just let go of Taiwan. Hey, there you go, China, have Taiwan.
Right. Which, look, I think is a good plan for the U.S. We do need to bring that kind of manufacturing back home, but it's the sort of like virtue signaling around protecting Taiwan for the sake of democracy, but not doing it so much that, we overinvest in them.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate diversion, Hey.
Meanwhile, writing countless blank checks over to Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that's resetting is the internet. And let me tell you, or you can tell me. I don't know. You brought this, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I'll give you a little rundown. It's pretty interesting. This is coming from Bloomberg here. And we've talked about the literal battlefield for the majority of geopolitical war is going on online. It's information war. It truly is like some of the most important parts of the battlefield is the internet. It sounds kind of like, I don't know, it sounds weird still. It's, because there's a part of me that's like, people are still thinking that the internet is not real. Our parents, when we were growing up, why are you doing that? No, the internet, that's not real life, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we know it is real life now. And insofar that it is also an actual battlefield, actual wars being waged on Facebook, on social media, and just on the internet, not just between culture warriors, but also between geopolitical states. And there's this interesting reporting coming out of Bloomberg, and the headline is this: Ukraine's repair crews dodge bullets and splice cable to keep the country online. And it's a fun read. It is very long, and it's written almost as it's almost written as a pitch for a movie. And what it is these teams in Ukraine, 50-year-old guys or older who worked for the telecommunications companies in Ukraine. They worked for the telephone company. They're just normal guys, driving the trucks to go install cable boxes and repair people's phone lines and stuff like that. And when the war started, they sort of became this like elite squadron, this geek squad of war fighting internet repair people. And it's really interesting story about how these guys, the war started and I was smoking a cigarette and I heard an explosion and I knew
the internet went down.
Yeah, the internet went down, and telling these really intense
new
stories.
Cable.
Yeah, telling really intense stories of these guys who just pile into a van and literally will drive onto an active battlefield with bullets whizzing. At least this is how it's reported. Who knows, if this is as literal as they're trying to make it sound. But they're talking about bullets whizzing past their heads and missiles flying overhead, and they go in there just so they can repair one little piece of an internet line that had gotten exploded by a missile. And these are all just like regular Joes who kissed their wife goodbye that morning and are on the battlefield putting the internet back together. Now, there's interesting things going on here because they're talking about wired internet and, where's Elon's Starlink, the whole Starlink drama.
Starlink? Yeah, interesting.
And I think, part of the reporting of this is to, it's really interesting. They make a really impressive attempt at don't take the internet for granted, because look what the Ukrainians have to do for internet. They have a whole squadron that just goes out and repairs internet things. So don't take it for granted, et cetera, et cetera. And it even goes in to how the internet is a super important part, not just of all war, but this war in particular. So these guys are sort of considered war heroes, which, look, it sounds like a crazy thing to do. And whether they're war heroes or not, that's not up for me to decide, but it sounds like a pretty stressful gig. So, I'm trying to figure out, of course, my highlights on this thing disappeared, so I don't have my highlights anymore. But it gets really deep into the personal stories of these individuals on these teams and the demands put on them by their country and how they, work harder than even some soldiers, and how specifically their work on keeping the internet up is winning the war. And they had this really fascinating part of the story talking about how information war in this day and age really is the way to win a war. And they allude to it, but don't say it explicitly, but it does fully sort of orbit this idea of the New World Order, not just the conspiracy theory New World Order, but the New World Order that, our politicians talk about, the liberal economic New World Order that got put together after World War II, where the idea is to avoid war, kinetic war as much as possible, and we just wage economic war. And the waging of economic war is relied upon the information war, and how and it was mind-blowing to see how they were talking about the information war, how important it is, how expertly it is wielded by nation states, and just totally not even making the connection between breaking down this information war and the complaints, I'll say, of some people in the West, and the reliability of information coming out of Ukraine specifically, and Russia, Russia misinformation, etc. But for example, Zelensky to this day insisting that the missiles that landed in Poland, that almost started the nuclear war and brought Poles. NATO into this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it turned out it was a Ukrainian air defense missile. Yeah. Ukraine actually missiled NATO, but to this day, he's still blaming it on Russia, saying that Russia did it. And this is an example of the information war, because whatever piece of information takes hold is the one that would either bring in NATO into a nuclear war or not. Right. And Zelensky, admittedly, and I don't think this is even counter narrative to say, Zelensky is a master at this information war, at making sure the right things get out, whether they're true or not, and making sure that the right things don't get out, or the wrong things don't get out, rather.
It says, I think this is it could have been one of the quotes you're looking for. It says here, in doing so, Ukrainian telecom operators have begun to establish a playbook for future conflicts, Russia's
Yes.
invasion was the largest offensive operation since World War II, and it's the first major war in a country with infrastructure as sophisticated as that of Ukraine, where communication and power grids are comparable to those of the European Union neighbors. Matthew Ford, an associate professor with the Swedish Defense University, described it in a phone call from Stockholm as, quote, the most connected battlefield in the world ever. In that
Yes.
context, winning the information war often means victory, and winning an information war requires a reliable network. we must
Thank
be
you.
connected to win the war.
Thank
Otherwise,
you.
how are we gonna mind control everybody without the internet?
Exactly. Thank you. That was one of the exact things I had highlighted. Yeah. It really is. Of course, we know it's true. We've been talking about that for many years now. But for it to be a core principle in an actual kinetic war going on right now, that is the core principle to winning the war, is the information war, the infrastructure of information, which, you can make the argument that that's been sort of known for a while. Intelligence, information, communication, these are all extremely important parts of war and have been for quite some time. But these fellas who are basically cable guys before the war, and then being drafted into this, cyberpunk future war fighting squadron, where going out and repairing some cables is like the most important possible job that could be given to them. And I just love that they're just like, yeah, this is George. George has been our cable guy for years, and now he's like the one thing standing between us and total annihilation.
Well, they need to, before they pitch this to Hollywood, a few things need to happen. One of these people need to get killed, and
Yes.
then they need to have somebody, the son or something, develops robotics, like a whole robot army to do this, to maintain the internet.
Right. And in the movie, his son, who's like into flying drones and stuff, or like into Boston Dynamics, he's like trying to get his dad, like, come on, this'll help. And his dad is like, don't get distracted with your toys. We are here. We are war heroes. We're keeping the internet going. This is how we win the war. And then an unfortunate thing happens. And as the father lay dying, the son, Spot the robot dog comes galloping into the battlefield and pulls his dad out and fixes the internet, and that's the big scene at the end of the movie.
Part two
and then,
is when Elon's Starlink bots come raining down and destroy his son's bot army of internet connecting robots.
Yes.
And then the war
Starlink
truly
bots
begins.
sabotaging. Yeah.
The network wars, the bot wars, depending on what network you build, will determine the behavior of the human species in clusters.
It gets some predictive programming in there, of course. It's a
Programming,
Hollywood
some
movie.
hive mind. Yeah, it's all happening. And so, I thought this was interesting too, the way they paint these people as here. I mean, they are sort of in the context, in the bubble of
I'm
war.
Totally on board with these guys. By the
They're
way,
heroes in a sense, but just something to point out. And I found this article as you were, reporting on that other thing. This is from the New York Times, and the headline here is "Flashlights, Fire, and Ingenuity: Life Without Power in Kiev," and it's really this painting of a post-apocalyptic cyber warfare type of situation. After months of repeated Russian strikes, Ukraine's capital can no longer take electricity, water, heat, cell service, or internet for granted, and the hum of generators is everywhere. And you had mentioned that sounds kind of like Burning Man, huh? The hum of generators everywhere. Is that kind of how the vibe is at Burning Man?
Yeah.
And it says here, just real briefly, elevators across Ukraine's capital are stocked with emergency supplies in case the power fails. Banks have sent messages to customers to assure them their money is safe in the event of prolonged blackouts. The National Philharmonic played on Tuesday night on a stage lit by battery-powered lanterns. Now, okay, all right. Then the last one. And doctors last week performed surgeries by flashlight. Now, all these other okay, doctors performing surgery by flashlight. Okay, dystopian, post-apocalyptic sounding. And it sounds really bad. It's scary, dangerous. Prolonged blackouts, banks locking out possibly locking out your money, serious stuff. But the National Philharmonic playing on stage, lit by battery-powered lanterns, sounds like a pretty good, entertaining evening.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like
sounds like a Saturday night in Orange County. It's kind of like an experience. Yeah. Come,
we're doing the non-electric, truly unplugged. Yeah. This is
no
Kiev.
Speakers, no microphones.
This is Kiev, a modern, thriving European capital of 3.3 million people. And now a war-torn city struggling with shortages of electricity, running water, cell phone service, central heating, and the internet. So it's interesting. They kind of provide the problem as sort of the, lacking internet. Internet being one of the most important aspects of survival of society.
Right.
And then in parallel to that, we have these repair crews as the heroes who are building the infrastructure as it crumbles.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway, all kind of coming together. This nice dystopian new world order that we all are watching unfold. It's pretty remarkable. I think when we started this, Basil, we were like, the new world order, it's real, it's legit, it's going to happen. But even thinking about myself 10 years ago, there was like a part of me that was like, I don't really want to see it necessarily. I hope it takes a really long time.
Quicker than expected. I thought we were going to be like old men.
I was like, hopefully.
Like, we told you so.
Yeah. Instead, we're just a few years later and we're like, oh wow, this is all unraveling exactly how, not exactly per se, but just, very much so like the way we thought it would. So.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like that, all things coming together, Guns. It's time to have a party.
Go to canarycry.party. There you'll find a tree of links that leads to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the community.
Yep, that's right. I'm going to keep everything nice and brief today, but go check out canarycry.party. You can get connected to all of our community resources. You can find all the fun Easter eggs we have waiting for you. You can get in touch with us. You can explore all sorts of content, both ours and other podcasts like Ravel. Go check it out. Ravel coming out all the time. You're going to love it. So go check it out, canarycry.party. You can also sign up for the supply drop over there and produce the show, which brings me to my next point, which is we're going to thank some producers.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. And it's not so much about the money as it is about the corporate profit motive that goes into controlling the flow of independent information. So we don't want any of those shenanigans in on what we're trying to do here. It's also an addictive concept. Once you start taking that ad money, you'll do anything you can to keep taking it. Just ask Ben Shapiro. And speaking of which, we just recorded an episode of Ravel on addiction that will be coming out this weekend too. So go check that out. But yeah, and so instead of taking money from corporations that do not have our best interests in mind, we are simply relying on those who get value from the show to join the revolution, to fight back against the monolithic advertising structure and keep corporate money out of your independent media. If you believe that has value to you and you get value from this show, if you've listened to the show at all recently, how many episodes have you listened to this month? Hey, we work hard to keep it rolling. And if that means anything to you, if you get any value, just know that we can only do the show in the length, frequency, and quality that we do because of producers like you. So head on over to canarycrysupply.com and canarycryradio.com/support.
CanaryCrimeRadio.com/support.
That's right. And let's thank some producers right now. We already thanked our executive producers, executive producer Rab from Western Russia, and executive producer Dustin H. We do have a new supply drop producer I want to thank.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, are you losing me?
No.
Okay. Let's thank the supply drop producer.
Yeah, let's do it. Did you want the jingle?
Yeah, play the jingle.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. You need to. Yeah. Okay.
We always play the jingle. That's right. The following producer signed up not only to keep this show going and understands what is at risk as economic situations become complicated, but wants to support the show, keep it going, keep the cycle of value, but also receive cool stuff. So the following producer will also receive a bonus gift of the Canary Crime Mixtape Volume 1, as well as all the other fun stuff coming next month. And that supply drop producer, Gons,
you definitely cut out online. So say that again.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought so.
right at the name, too.
Oh, okay. Well, it's supply drop producer Gumby.
Gumby. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Our time, something. I think we're lagging pretty bad or something because I can hear myself through your headphones very late.
Well, you're not hearing you through my headphones, but you are hearing yourself through something. Yeah. Why don't we reconnect this call then?
Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second.
Call me back.
Okay. Hold on. Let me do the right thing. Okay. Here we go. Hanging up on you, making sure because sometimes it can destroy people's ears. So, boom, boom, boom. There we go. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to give you some video here. Hopefully that fixes some of the problems. Okay, thank you very much, supply drop producer Gumby.
Gumby, thank you.
Next up, we've got some producers who came in to produce this episode in particular, and let's thank them now. Okay. Starting with producer Julie S.
Julie S., thank you.
Julie S. comes in with a nice round number, which means we will not divulge that number. If you don't mind us sharing that number with the world, just make it a funky number, you know, not nothing round. Some people put 33 cents, 77 cents, something funky. But thank you very much, producer Julie S.
Thank you, Julie.
Next up, we've got producer Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas.
Hey, Sir Darren.
Coming in, 76 episodes in a row. And Sir Darren comes in with 1111.
11. Thank you. Good to see you, Sir Darren.
Next up, we got producer Christian N., our Norwegian producer.
Yeah.
Came in with 1721. And a note that says, "Hi, B&G, my monthly contribution for November. I would love to be able to get the t-shirt if possible and would pay for the shipping. I remember you being shocked when I ordered the CCR t-shirt. This was a while ago, and it shipped to Norway. Let me know if that is possible." It is possible. You got to sign up for the supply drop. I'm not sure if you are signed up for the supply drop or not, but sign up for the supply drop. And I do know that some international shipping, specifically to Australia, is difficult. But if you sign up for the supply drop, producer Isaac will do his best. He'll get in touch with you and they'll work out international shipping. Thank you very much, producer Christian N.
Thank you, Christian N.
Next up, we've got producer Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots, 170 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Moore.
Coming in with 1111. Next up, we've got Sir LX Protocol V2, Night of the Berean Protocol, pocket full of sevens, 105 episodes in a row.
Quicker. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, Sir Alex.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We've got a few people who came in under that amount, and we will thank them now. Starting with producer Dr. Whodundat. Thank you very much, Dr. Whodundat. Good to see you. Then we have Dame Gail, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's. 200 episodes in a row. Wow. Big day. Yeah. Do we have a 200 jingle?
Nope, we have a event 201 jingle.
That's what it is, 201. Okay, so close. Next, we have Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 236 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
We got Veronica D, also 200 in a row.
Yeah, Veronica, the other Streak sister.
That's right. Then we got Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 225 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Then we've got Runk Smash, 20 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Runk Smash.
Thank you all.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Women rule.
Streakalicious indeed.
Delicious.
All right. Well, that concludes our list of financial producers today. We're just a reminder, one last time, head to canarycrysupply.com, sign up. Not only do you get cool stuff, you're getting bonus gifts of the Canary Cry mixtape on True Blue manufactured in America cassette tape, but you're also helping this show continue, not just on a monthly basis, but it's the monthly supply drop signer-uppers that help us plan for the future. So as we look to 2023, it's these supply drop producer signups that is the signal to what we can try to plan for cool stuff next year.
Yep.
So go check it out, canarycrysupply.com, and thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
What are we talking about?
I don't think we need to cut off YouTube this time, so we won't. You get to stick around for this show, YouTubers. Thank you very much.
Careful opening the closet, because that's where the evil monkeypox lives.
Monkeypox. And now.
Ooh.
Booga, 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 booga.
Been a while gone since we've heard about monkeypox.
Yeah. CNN Health, WHO, that's the World Health Organization, renames monkeypox as MPOX. M-P-O-X.
Wow. So
MPOX.
creative.
They went to the back room. They looked at the algos, the keywords, and that's where they landed. The World Health Organization announced Monday that MPOX is now the preferred name for monkeypox. Quote, both names will be used simultaneously for 1 year while monkeypox is phased out, the organization said. Are they going to ban the word monkeypox? Like what?
This is so stupid.
So in 2024, somebody says, hey, how's that monkeypox going? Jail. We are phasing out that word.
Canceled.
You are canceled. You must say MPOX, or nobody knows what you're talking about. The Biden administration.
It's so stupid for a couple of reasons. Of course, they've been talking about renaming monkeypox since like May or something for a long, long time. In fact, I thought they already did. I didn't know that this was even, still floating around. But they officially just changed it. But it's so. I mean, okay, monkeypox, sure. They're saying it's offensive because not just monkeys can get it. And it makes you, make an offensive connection between people who get monkeypox and monkeys or whatever. But to change it to simply MPOX, like that's not how that works. What do you think people, it's just referring to monkeypox, but just losing the unky. Like people are still going to be they're still going to be thinking monkeypox. Like it's like when you think of any other like bad
acronym
thing to call somebody, whether it's a racial slur or like a whatever, something to do with your gender identity or your sexuality or whatever. There's bad words, unacceptable words to call people in lots of different situations. None of them could you just get rid of 5 words or five letters
or 2 letters or 3 letters.
You can't just take out a letter or 5 and then say it's okay to use. Like, this is not how this works, guys.
Okay, the
reason
took you
why 8 months to just take out unky?
Well, scientists and experts have pushed since the start of the recent outbreak to change the name to avoid discrimination and stigma that could steer people away from testing and vaccination. I don't know why the name would cause people to shy away from testing and vaccination, but okay. So anyway, I don't think we need to spend any more time on this other than to say, get ready, folks, because the rebrand is here and they're priming it. Who knows if it's going to work, but they are priming this thing for prime time. It's MPOX will become, all the rage.
I think you're right. I think it's the signal. They're bringing it back.
Yeah. They have to rebrand.
We'll see a big push for something. It'll be a big push for monkeypox in some way. Maybe it won't be like a pandemic level thing, but something is going on with monkeypox that we will start hearing more and more about it in the next, I would give it a couple weeks, but maybe for safety, at least by 2023, monkeypox will be a problem.
2023, they'll definitely start.
So and it'll be big. Don't get me wrong. It'll be something serious.
Something serious. Maybe a celebrity involved. Be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, celebrity. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of this madness is the pandemic special.
A pandemic special.
And we've been tracking all since COVID. It's been very obvious that there is a shift in the sort of scientific dictatorship, dare I say, a sort of authoritarian takeover of the scientific establishment trying to govern us. We have a couple articles here. These are a little bit older. Not that old, actually, only a few days. Science Alert. The first headline, scientists revived ancient zombie viruses frozen for eons in Siberia. Didn't we warn about this type of thing, especially when we started looking at Antarctica? We were like, hey, it seems like, all this melting ice could release some stuff.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about this. Some scientists out there are just willy-nilly digging up viruses in mummy sarcophagi and glaciers and bogs in the middle of Eastern Europe and stuff, and they just keep reviving these viruses for no reason. These are reckless scientists.
Yeah, as the world warms up, why? I don't know. It may be because the people on the machine there, the geoengineering machine is turning up the heat. Vast trenches of
Remember when they found, real quick, just a reference. Remember when we were reporting on they found COVID in permafrost dirt?
Yes.
In Antarctica?
Yeah.
Antarctican dirt had COVID in it? That's strange, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, why would they? I mean, unless it was an ancient virus that was once again released.
Yeah, they found it in some Hungarian scientists find it. By the way, folks, you can get these links in your email box. Sign up for our newsletter, but just Google Hungarian scientists find COVID in Antarctic dirt.
As the world warms up, vast trenches of permafrost are melting, releasing material that's been trapped in its icy grip for years. This includes a slew of microbes that have lain dormant for hundreds of millennia in some cases. To study the emerging microbes, scientists have now revived a number of these zombies viruses from Siberian permafrost, including one thought to be nearly 50,000 years old, a record age for a frozen virus, returning to a state capable of infecting other organisms. This is like a resurrection of the virus, the ancient virus. The team behind the work, led by microbiologist Jean-Marie Alempic from the French National Center for Scientific Research, says these reanimating viruses are potentially a significant threat to public health. Oh, really? and further study needs to be done to assess the danger that these infectious agents could pose as they awake from their icy slumber. And you know what's going to save us from all this, Basil? Is an mRNA shot that's going to protect our DNA or change it or something.
Yeah.
We just got to protect the Earth's biosphere is no longer what it was with these ancient viruses released again.
Reckless.
Yeah. Let's see. While the record-breaking virus was found beneath a lake, other extraction locations included mammoth wool and the intestines of a Siberian wolf, all buried beneath permafrost.
Awesome.
Yeah, using live cell amoeba cultures, the team proved that the viruses still had the potential to be infectious pathogens. We're also seeing a huge number of bacteria released into the environment as the world warms up, but given the antibiotics at our disposal, it might be argued they would prove less threatening. A novel virus, as with SARS-CoV-2, could be much more problematic for public health, especially as the Arctic becomes more populated. The quote, the situation would be much more disastrous in the case of plant, animal, or human diseases caused by the revival of an ancient unknown virus, write the researchers. Quote, it is therefore legitimate to ponder the risk of ancient viral particles remaining infectious and getting back into circulation by the thawing of ancient permafrost layers.
You know, that's a funny thing for them to lean into.
Yeah.
Because, of course, us and fringy weirdos like us take very seriously the possibility of viruses awakening from, ancient ice layers or whatever, and see it fitting perfectly into the trends and forces controlling our world today. It's only the normies who are supposed to believe in the science and whatever that aren't taking this seriously or consider this some sort of fringe topic. So don't tell me I don't follow the science, folks.
Well, I mean, speaking about the conditioning, they've done a lot of that. So it does seem like a science fiction plot, but it also seems very plausible. And yeah, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? The other Science Alert headline here, which was actually linked, I think, in that last article, rapidly melting glaciers are releasing a staggering payload of unknown bacteria. So yeah, just more of the same.
Payload. That's military term.
Military term.
Payload. That's what you call bombs or missiles. They're payloads.
Yeah, or whatever they're delivering up to the ISS allegedly. They have a payload that they're dropping off at the space station type of deal. So, yeah, again, I feel like the entire because the climate change topic. A lot of people have discussed how it is part of the, sort of a UN 2030 agenda thing, a World Economic Forum thing, a New World Order thing, and it certainly is. But in the context of COVID and what it did to society, it just completely shut everything down, the whole deal. And then piggybacking this climate change discussion on top of it, and then having that ability to be like, hey, just like this pandemic that we just experienced now because of climate change, these other viruses can be unleashed. It really feels like that's sort of the end game. It's almost like they want they want to blame. They're setting up the blame of the release of these viruses to climate change, which then they can then blame the people and say, hey, you guys didn't do enough to stop climate change, and look what you did. All these right-wing Republican, conservative, libertarian types, thinking climate change is all a joke. Well, look what happened now. The ancient virus is revived. It's
ironic.
Fault.
It's ironic because, it is simultaneously, global warming up the ice, releasing these things. It's the justification to dig them up ourselves and study them to see how we can defend against them. Right? But at the same time, if global warming does not release the virus and the bacteria, these viruses will almost certainly just get out from scientists doing this exact thing. I mean, it's the gain of function research concept all over again. We got to create the most dangerous virus so we know how to defend against it. Oopsie daisies. It's the very act of creating it created the problem that we were trying to fix in the first place. So here's what is sort of axiomatic in this case: whether or not climate change releases deadly viruses, we are going to have a problem with deadly viruses simply by fact that the scientists are digging them up and playing with them. We've seen this before.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And again, I just continue to see the splitting of society, the hurting of the populations. People that will be complicit and follow the authorities on all these issues, and those that won't. And I think they want to separate everybody into different these different network states. But there's always.
I also see it as a bit of sorry, I'll let you move on in a second, but I also see a bit of its own predictive programming. It used to be Hollywood, television, movies. These were the predictive programming. The news is just its own predictive programming.
Well, especially science. They are the prophets and the priests and prophets of the religion of science type of thing. Casting warnings. Prophecies about the future, what could be if we don't take action. It's very similar to kind of a judgment language, but I don't know. It's interesting, but it's not just stuff that's been trapped here for a long time, but it's also stuff that apparently is from up there.
Space. Wanna go to space?
Scary rocks. Scary rocks. Global News. .ca. In meteorite, Alberta researchers discover 2 minerals never seen before on Earth.
Whoa.
And I love the picture that they have at the top here, which looks like a big poop that got really hard, and
it looks rather exactly like the big pile of dinosaur dung in the first Jurassic Park.
Does it?
The walkie-talkie was in or something, and he had to reach in and grab it. Yeah.
I don't think they're telling us the whole truth about this rock. Apparently from space.
It looks literally like a screenshot from Jurassic Park.
Why is it so flat on the bottom, as if it was softer at some point and then settled into?
I think the idea is that it's buried, maybe.
Maybe. The meteorite expert from the University of Alberta was part of a team of researchers that discovered at least 2 new minerals never before seen on Earth. Chris Hurd. They're hurting us, Basil. A professor in the Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences and curator of the University of Alberta's meteorite collection, was contacted a couple years ago by trying to classify a 15-ton meteorite found in Somalia, the 9th largest meteorite ever found. Quote, in the course of doing the classification, describing this new rock for science. Oh, man. These people get paid to describe rocks for science. I came across some inclusions, some potential different interesting minerals inside the meteorite. What we've now discovered is there are at least 2 new minerals in this meteorite from Somalia that have never been discovered before. Quote, most people in my profession will go through their career and not even find 1 new mineral. Here, just by virtue of examining this meteorite, we came across 2, Hurd said. really letting
We're very proud.
other meteorologists, just really showing off in their faces. Quote, it was an exciting moment when my colleague, Dr. Andrew Lowcock, was doing the analysis. The first day he was looking at it, he came to me and said, I think you've got at least 2 new minerals in there, based on their chemistry, based on the ratio of elements that are in there. In this case, iron, phosphorus, and oxygen. If you got 2 new minerals, that was really exciting. The 2 minerals came from a 70-gram piece that was sent to the U of A for classification. A potential 3rd mineral is also being looked at. Quote, whenever you find new mineral, it means that the geological conditions, the chemistry of the rock was different than what's been found before, Hurd said. Quote, that's what makes this exciting. In this particular meteorite, you have 2 officially described minerals that are new to science. You just keep repeating it. Quote, that's my expertise. How you tease out the geologic processes and the geologic history of the asteroid this rock was once part of, Hurd said. Quote, I never thought I'd be involved in describing brand new minerals just by virtue of working on a meteorite. And then it's got a little picture of it. And yeah, looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But, just in time, Basil, for the release of a film.
Okay. Yes, I've got something for you. I'm sending over to you right now.
Okay.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll put. I'll put it in the doc here.
Sure. Yes,
so they said they found this meteorite in Somalia, right? So the first picture I'm sending you, or I'm putting in the doc here, is a picture of Somalia and its location in Africa. And you better get this jingle ready, Gons, because I'm about to blow your mind. So there's Somalia. It's kind of like where the little spike, the little horn is off on the right side of Africa. Mm-hmm. That whole big little hook that it has coming off the right side, that is Somalia.
Yes.
The next map I am sending you is where Wakanda is located, according to Marvel. Now, Wakanda places Wakanda at the intersection of Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, which is like a mere, I don't know, couple hundred miles from Somalia, maybe. Basically, Somalia is right next to Wakanda. So I think this might be a data point in the Afrofuturism category, Gons.
What shall we do?
Now, for those who aren't experts in Marvel, the reason Wakanda is so important is because they are the sole, resource of a mineral called vibranium. I think. I want to say that it's, yes, I believe it is vibranium that is found in Wakanda, which gives Wakanda its extraordinary technological powers, and everybody wants vibranium. In fact, the new Wakanda movie, Wakanda Forever, is all based around other countries wanting to get vibranium. And you literally have this scientist going to Somalia, finding a meteorite with two new minerals possibly right next to where Wakanda's supposed to be.
Yeah, well. What did
you say?
I said possibly three. They're saying two, but they're saying possibly three.
Yes, indeed. So I think we got a nice little setup for real life Wakanda. If not real life Wakanda, then at least a physical analog to vibranium, fitting into the Afrofuturism trend movement that we've seen, not just through cultural forces, in social movements, but also in governmental forces and New World Order 2.0, geopolitical struggles, China versus, the rest of the world for control over Africa for resource reasons. We found vibranium, folks, and believe it or not, it's right by Wakanda. This is very interesting.
Now, do you think this is disclosure of an already existing Wakanda who have mined these materials to create their little invisible city in Africa?
Well, Gons, in Wakanda Forever, the new Black Panther movie, it starts out with the international community finding their own source of vibranium. So perhaps, and the whole movie actually revolves around, this other source of vibranium that the rest of the world wants to get its hands on. And so, maybe. No, it's not in Antarctica. But
that's for the real life script, I guess.
But maybe that's what this is. They've found a new source of vibranium. I don't know, Gons. The way that the USA has treated countries who find a new resource that we like, I think I'd watch out if I was Somalia. There might
Don't sign any papers with charming American military men telling you that they're going to take care of your people.
Don't take any loans from the U.S. or any European bank. Don't, you watch out. You might suddenly have some ISIS members or something show up in Somalia that need a talking to. And I know about 100,000 U.S. soldiers who would probably be their welcoming committee.
Even if we don't take the literal Wakanda thing here, we've part of the UFO disclosure, the government becoming involved in the phenomenon and everything else. Could that be part of this as well? Because there's a lot of TV shows and films and stuff like that where some kind of meteor or not just meteor, but a fragment of a comet or something like that helped create the more advanced AI or quantum computing or whatever it may be. So, stuff they already have.
Starts the technological revolution in Africa.
They need the materials to push the technocratic dream.
Right.
They need resources.
There needs to be an economic reason for going over there and helping out Africa. Yeah. Did I disappear?
No, you're still there.
Weird. My Skype window has gone missing.
Yeah, well, that's typical.
It happens.
I think a lot of things.
Weird, unexplained, unreasonable technological issues tend to happen when we're onto something, Gons.
Yeah, we need our own source.
Maybe we're giving away the Wakanda geopolitical storyline, and they don't like it being on record. Okay, sounds good. You want to thank some producers?
Break. This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content.
Take a break.
All right, we're going to take a real quick break here and thank some producers who came in with their talent. Don't just consume the content. Provide value back by building the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. And all we ask is that you make something for the show. And we appreciate all the people who came in. Today we're going to... Whoa! That's weird. Why did that just go off?
I don't know, man. You're good.
Is our vibranium resource depleting? What's happening? Okay. I continue.
Are you talking about that jingle?
No, the little, the thing like we do for the producers. It just went off randomly. That was
the little thing.
It was as if it was triggered and then it just decided to go off like 30 minutes later or something. It was weird. All right. Well, we don't have any audio production today. We don't have SpeakPipe either. We're just going to go straight to the art.
Okay. Art, please.
And it is from Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia. And he has a note. As I pull up the art here. Hold on. Need a second here. Need a second to breathe. All this craziness.
While you do that, I will mention, if you are a creative person, you can create some art. Send it into the show. Head on over to canarycry.art. It's a nice little upload portal for you there. You can send in art to the show. We'd love to feature it. It's an important part of the community building here. It's every once in a while, the producer sort of crowd shifts. Some people have, life gets in the way. Things start moving around. People start to get other things to do. But there's always an opportunity. If you're a creative person, come get involved with the show, create something for the show. We'd love to put it on the show, as well as leaving us voice messages. Now, I do see here somebody left a voice message during the show. We need to have it in before the show to get it on the show, but we will play that one on Friday. And you can leave us a voice message, which you could tell us anything. You could ask us questions. You can say hi to other producers. You can give your thoughts on a topic, whatever the case may be. Just head on over to canarycrynewstalk.com, and you'll see a green tab on the bottom of the right-hand side. Click on that. You'll be able to leave us a voice message, and you're giving us permission to play the voice message, but it's not guaranteed. But we'd love to hear from you.
Yep, Sir Dove.
One art piece from Dove.
Says, peace. For today's artwork, I made a possible merit badge for all the supply droppers out there. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
Love it. Thank you, Sir Dove, very much. I really appreciate the continued work on the merit badge system. And here we have the supply dropper merit badge. It's the circular format there. It says supply dropper badge down at the bottom, supply dropper up at the top. And we've got that googly-eyed, cute canary flying through the sky with some chemtrails behind him. But he's carrying that crate, that supply drop crate. And on the crate, of course, you see some stickers. You got the Think Outside the Cage bumper sticker. You've got the Nephilim Penguins hockey sticker. You've got the Arm & Hammer and sickle, robotic arm and hammer and sickle, what is it called? Satirical sticker there as well. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Yeah,
love it.
You know, for the viewing audience here, just real quick, I have Dove's book here.
Oh, yes.
Not
you have a physical book. You have the physical book on you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, of course. Go to bigcartel.dovewashere.com and you can see all of his art. He's got some art for sale, and he's got 2 books, volume 1 and 2, filled with Bible artwork. And it's all very impressive. A lot of it you've seen on the show, some of it you haven't, but it's a beautiful piece to have laying around, and certainly a conversation starter. Oh, and you've got the bumper sticker there, too.
Like
these are all things that came in the supply drop.
Like a real version of the sticker that you see on the box.
Beautiful. Yeah, that turned out beautiful. You got to send me my new supply drop.
You got to be nice. Be nice.
This supply drop merit badge, this is a good contender for the opening volley of the merit badge system, because if you're already signed up to the supply drop, of course we could just stick this merit badge in your supply drop and it'll get right to you. But yeah, for those who need reminding, we're working on putting together a producer merit badge system, so keep an eye out for that. This might be the first one. Join the supply drop if you want to get in on it. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. All right, we also have a microfiction.
Microfiction.
First one is from Rung Smash.
The 3 hooded figures, each with their 10 remaining acolytes, prepared the ritual to embody their dark leaders. The cost was steep to summon the demon cat, who is ultimately ineffective at stopping the Wamites. So now they have no other choice. The DC Demon Cat making it into the making it into the microfictions there.
Yeah, no
we
surprise.
might need to make a Demon Cat trading card for the Legends of the Canarium trading card collection.
Yeah, direct
of course,
enemy of the Canaries.
That's true. The Demon Cat, which might be just another shameless plug for the supply drop. We don't talk about it often, but in each supply drop is a new first edition Legends of the Canarium trading card, collectible trading card. Yeah, we've been creating and printing our own trading card game set, and it's been very fun. Lots of Canary Cry characters making it into the collection there, and you can get that by joining the supply drop, canarycrysupply.com.
Yep.
All right. We got another one.
Yeah, we got one more from the Sentinel.
He stands within a white temple. Walls and pillars emerge from the blackness of his imagination. Faces swirl around him in foggy apparitions. One grows clear. A bald man. Lizard eyes, a demon cat in his lap, but worst of all, his cackling laugh.
Wow. I think Jeff
Fun,
Bezos.
A multimedia experience from the Sentinel there.
Yeah. Little production notes there. But yeah, the Demon Cat seems to have inspired an entire
Yeah, the Demon Cat is in. It was a perfect story.
It was. Right up our alley. Thank you very much to the Sentinel and Runk Smash for the microfictions and being very consistent with those.
For those who don't know, listen to last episode if you want to know about the Demon Cat. We did not create the Demon Cat. No. Apparently, the Capitol building in D.C. is haunted by a demon cat. So you can learn all about it.
Disembodied spirit of the Nephilim roaming around and inhabiting some form of a cat to get its way around.
Do DC. Something. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much to all of our creative Canarians out there. If you're a creative person, create some for the show. I want to see some new people. Now, first of all, I love and require the artists that continually, faithfully create stuff for the show. But I am curious. I know that there's people out there. They're thinking, this is just a podcast. Look, especially if you just listen to the podcast version, you're not a live viewer or whatever. I can see, look, we're just on your list of many podcasts that you listen to.
Sorry. That was not supposed to happen.
We're just on your list. You're not trying to join any crazy community or anything, but you're a creative person and you've thought about it. You thought about making something for the show, but life is busy and you got work. You're not really, and who knows? I don't know. It's kind of a big pain to make a piece of art and send it into a podcast. I want to see what you got, baby. We'll give you extra props for people who've been sitting there thinking for months, perhaps years, that they should create something and haven't done it. Let's get some additional blood in the pool here. That's a weird way to say it, but there you go.
Really weird way to say it, especially on this episode. We're talking about the Balenciaga and all that stuff.
Demon cats, yeah.
Demon cat.
Demonic power.
Go to canarycry.art, fill out the form, upload your art there. Do it. All right.
Okay, one more segment before we call it an evening.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Basil, I'll let you read this since you are a user of a VR headset. As everybody that watches the show knows, your eyes have been transhumanized into VR and googly eyes, so you see more than the average citizen.
I've taken the role of guinea pig on for when everybody is going to be working in the metaverse or controlling a robot in a factory comfortably from their cryopod at home. And yes, this is a big story.
Yeah, for our sake, though, don't do this particular update from the Oculus
this is a little much. This is taking it a step too far. MSN.com is mirroring this story from SVG. The headline, Oculus founder creates VR headset that kills the user if they die in the game. Now, this might sound familiar to some of you, but let's keep reading. And this is totally serious, by the way. This is not a joke. In the wise words of one Dr. Ian Malcolm, quote, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Wow, another Jurassic Park reference.
Stop the progress before it's too late.
Yeah, another Jurassic Park reference there. There's what's his face? Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus VR, announced that he has successfully created a prototype for a VR headset that can kill the user, like actually kill them in real life if they die within a game. Quote, the idea of tying your real life to your virtual avatar has always fascinated me, said Total Psycho Lucky wrote in a blog post detailing his creation. Quote, you instantly raise the stakes to the maximum level and force people to fundamentally rethink how they interact with the virtual world and the players inside it. The device, which Lucky includes a picture of in his post, generally resembles a typical VR headset, such as the Meta Quest 2 or the Valve Index. What's up, Valve Index? However, viewers will quickly notice 3 conspicuous cylinders protruding right above where the user's forehead would be. According to Lucky, these are explosive charges that activate when they detect a game over screen in-game, quote, instantly destroying the brain of the user. Naturally... is complete madness. Naturally, the invention of such a piece of hardware invites some strong reactions, such as what and why and I'm scared. I don't think those are quite the strong reactions that I'm feeling, but okay. As it turns out, there's more context behind Lucky's undeniably sinister new contraption that ties back to his days designing the original Oculus Rift. There are also some key details regarding the project that could relieve any readers who are concerned about encountering this device themselves anytime soon. If you're an anime fan, you may have already noticed that Palmer Lucky's user-killing VR headset is just 1 or 2 steps removed from becoming the Nerve Gear device from the popular sci-fi series Sword Art Online. The show follows several individuals who become trapped in a VR MMO game. That's virtual reality, massively multiplayer online game. After learning that the Nerve Gear headset they're using to play will kill them if they die in the game or try to take it off. It's a fairly dark anime, and some fans have even decried certain Sword Art Online scenes that went too far. Ooh. The parallels between Lucky's grim invention and Sword Art Online are no coincidence. As the creator detailed in his blog post, he's been inspired by the franchise since before he started designing the original Oculus Rift. Okay, let me take a pause for a second. The guy who created, arguably, the most popular, most commercially available VR headset, the Oculus Rift, later sold to Meta or Facebook, the one piece of hardware that really did change the game in VR, was originally inspired by a headset that murders you, even before he created the Oculus Rift. This, we talk about the dark past or proclivities or, occult origins of a lot of things that are considered, just whatever, normal parts of society now or government or whatever. This is a great example of that. The innocent Oculus Rift that children and podcasters are using around the world, that is marketed by Facebook, Meta, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, by one of the most beloved cyborg lizard people, Mark Zuckerberg, was created by someone who was originally inspired by a murder helmet. It's a little disturbing. Quote,
I'm surprised. I'm sorry. I just want to mention that I'm surprised that, okay, 4 years ago, when I was deep in making Face Like the Sun videos, one of the topics I brought up a lot was Sword Art Online as a potential, all the social implications, the VR implications, all the stuff, the spiritual implications. And so for me, this is really vindicative of the guy who built the thing that's on your face right now, Basil, watched an anime where this was a reality and it went into building it, and it doesn't get any better as the article goes on, so continue.
Right.
Are you going to keep reading?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were just... yes. I'm going to skip down to the next paragraph. The headset's melding of VR technology and weaponry also stems from Lucky's expertise in both fields. Oh, good. He's got expertise in the VR and the explosives.
The weaponry. Not just explosives, but weaponry.
The ex-Oculus exec is currently the head of Anduril Industries, a defense technology company that manufactures military weapons. He evidently put that experience to work on the headset's design, borrowing the explosive charges from a, quote, different project he's been working on. Swell. Just swell. Yeah, that's fantastic. And then it kind of goes into some more abstract things with Sword Art Online. I don't know if you want to go into the whole thing.
No, I mean, there's that quote, there's a huge variety of failures that could occur and kill the user at the wrong time, like what if it accidentally glitches to the game over screen, and
right?
Then, and then you're toast.
Now, obviously, this is not meant for commercial production yet.
Really?
Obviously, this is just like whatever, an art project or a strange, sick hobby this guy has.
I think this could definitely be used in warfare. And think about raising the stakes to the maximum level. And we won't have necessarily a kind of kinetic hot war on the ground. I mean, sometimes we do with territorial issues and whatnot. But if we're gonna be fighting in the metaverse, why not raise the stakes to the maximum level, Basil, and really make it about life and death?
Sure. You're going some Ender's Game.
Well, I mean, this is his quote. You instantly raise the stakes to the maximum level and force people to fundamentally rethink how they interact with the virtual world and the players inside it. This is the psychological operation at play.
So let me hit you with this. So he's obviously explicitly saying, rethinking the way you operate in the digital world. We've established that as far as the world is concerned, the digital world is just as real as the physical one. We've talked about network states where citizenship is in networks and not in geopolitical nation states. We've talked about, the internet is real life. We've talked about warfare, information warfare especially is sort of the most important piece of warfare nowadays. Facebook being an actual war fighting domain, stuff like this. This is all admitted by military experts, policymakers, stuff like this. But there's also this idea, especially you're talking about Elon, Twitter, hate speech, stuff like this, the idea to build in actual physical stakes, repercussions for your actions online. Now you mix that with the metaverse movement, absolutely supported by bazillions of dollars in the mainstream corporate sphere, trying to create new worlds for people to inhabit who are not very interested in the physical world. And on top of that, you have a movement which is largely centered in Europe, but we've seen cross the Atlantic and sort of spread around the world, is the sort of compassionate suicide movement. The idea that, if you want to commit suicide, the government should allow you to do that or something like that. You've got the Scandinavian death pods that, you've got assisted suicide.
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of ways to die.
All sorts of stuff, right? So you can imagine a world, especially, a physical world that holds zero, positive options for a human being, especially in this case that robots completely take over everything. They take over the jobs. There's no jobs. They take over whatever. You could imagine a world in the future, in the sort of middle distant future, maybe not by 2030, although things move pretty fast nowadays, but maybe by the time we're old men, Guns, maybe we're 98 years old or something. And especially for the infirm or the elderly, who of course are now being taken care of by robot caretakers, and our grandchildren are busy off working in the metaverse, and sometimes they tune in, they take control of our robot caretaker and talk to us, but we're basically in bed in a VR little pod because we get to live our lives. We can still work in our little VR pod. We're controlling robots in a factory or something, Guns, if we're not still podcasting. 98 years old in a VR headset, totally possible. But still, it's this movement, this social movement, not just social, technocratic utopian movement, which is not afraid of death.
Did I lose you? I lost your audio. Can you hear me? I can see you, but I cannot hear you anymore. What happened? Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure he was making an interesting point, and I don't know if he's being recorded on his end at the moment, but hey, this is the second time stuff falls apart at the end of the show in recent week. Yeah. All right. I don't know. I wasn't exactly sure. Oh no, we've completely lost him. Oh boy. Hold on 1 second. All right. Here we go. And let's see if we can get him back on here. Please don't be so loud. Oh gosh, so loud. Okay, well, it appears Basil has completely lost the internet, so we will just continue on here and try to wrap the show. So yeah, this story about the Oculus founder here creates VR headset that kills a user if they die in a game. Yeah, the ability to raise the stakes with anything that's virtual and you know, put your money where your mouth is, or in this case, your life where your mouth is when it comes to maybe certain disputes or conflicts to be settled in the metaverse. This truly does set the precedence, because, you know, even if they don't actually, I mean, I don't see this ever really being deployed unless it's, you know, you got a whole few generations maybe where people are really immersed in all this, and you know, it becomes part of I don't know, so a way to prove your mettle, or really buy into something to defend or to fight for, especially in the context of the metaverse. But I wanted to tie it to just one more thing quickly here that is peripheral, but also directly connected to this VR situation. And I didn't know where to put this headline, but I put it here because it was, I don't know, it's kind of funny, but also speaks to a grandeur milieu that's taking place, or just sort of the temperament of the world right now. And it's coming from Vice, and the headline here is Buddhist temple left without monks after they all test positive for meth. And apparently all these Buddhist monks were getting high on meth, and their whole thing was shut down. And it's been an issue in Thailand, specifically here, the Buddhist sort of hierarchy, or the institutional side, being exposed of all kinds of stuff, corruption, and in this case, drugs. As it says here, this is not an isolated case of Thai monks behaving badly either. In recent years, the sacred institution of Thai Buddhism has been tarnished by a series of high-profile arrests and scandals relating to corruption, murder, and drug trafficking among its clergy. And I think we will see how much of this great reset will affect literally everybody. You know, in the last few weeks, we've seen Apple, or I guess it was this week, Apple being pressured by Elon Musk about, you know, certain things about their the way they're trying to monopolize the app market and stuff like that. And we'll see what happens to them. But there's definitely a shakeup happening, and whenever there's a shakeup, people tend to find or associate with new identities, and that is happening. It's happening. It's been happening sort of with the papacy and the Vatican, but it feels like it's going to really spread quickly. And we've just recently the European Central Bank coming out and saying, yeah, we printed too much money and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, point being, traditional institutions are being pressured with the advent of technology, and especially with the advent of the internet, to move to a more transparent type of system. And, you know, it's interesting because it creates the ability for most of the general population to really see what's happening a little bit more under the hood with various institutions and organizations. But I want to connect this to the VR thing specifically because the Buddhists are very open to adopting new technologies. I think they have like robot monks already in Japan, like giving Buddhist services and things like that. So I wanted to see if there was anything written about Buddhism and VR in particular, and I did a quick search, nothing too intense, but there was a Medium article that was written in 2016, and the headline is virtual reality the medium that Buddhism has been waiting for? Deepak Chopra thinks so, and his team, and he's teamed up with VR producer Weaver for an enlightening new simulation. And so, yeah, he of course, Deepak Chopra, very new agey. He's trying to, are you back?
That is infuriating.
Oh, good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, good.
Okay, wonderful. I just had to reinstall Skype.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's some sort of massive fatal error in running that software. Wonderful.
Sure. Yeah, well, I was
see you're talking about the meth Buddhists.
Yeah, the meth Buddhists, and then the VR sort of being perhaps a way to curtail the drug problem in institutionalized Buddhism, as well as quench their thirst for some sort of transcendent experience. A VR headset could really assist in that. And so, and also if you've ever seen, oh boy, what's the movie that was Scarlett Johansson, who's in all the transhumanist movies, but it was a film that it was an anime and then they redid it as a live action film recently.
I believe it was Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. They have these people that are all hooked up, right? With their like heads, they're all hooked up to the internet or whatever. And they look like monks. They're like Buddhists, literally, all hooked up. So I feel like there's something there. And I think, go ahead.
To connect it to the longest dot connecting session I was doing before I got cut off. And that's really, really a sad thing that happened. But that's exactly where I was going, trying to lead into your Buddhist thing. But, think about it. Who would be so disconnected from the consequence of death or the fear of death or the sort of nature of death? I mean, at least if you take Buddhists at their word, they are those people. They are the people who, you talk about the difference of state between life and death, and, to a real hardcore Buddhist, or at least some of them that I've talked to, the lack of fear of death, the impermanence of everything, the impermanence of life, stuff like that. I could see it's a bit of a Buddhist framework, the accepting that everything is, a mandala that will be swept away in the waves. I could see that framework being important to accepting putting on a VR helmet that you could, again, just enter another illusory reality. To a hardcore Buddhist, even this reality is illusory. It's an illusion. And so entering into another illusory reality like the metaverse, even if the consequence could be an explosion on your VR mask that ends your life, I could see that ontological framework being one that might be the first type of person who would willingly put on the explosive VR headset, because, to the perhaps absurdist logical conclusion of the illusory nature of the universe, as is taught in Buddhism, I could see that would be no different from dying as a consequence of something in the physical world or in the digital world, or the long-term importance of even differentiating those things. I could see it totally fits in with the really hardcore Buddhist open hand philosophy.
Yeah, and where philosophically it seems like everything is headed is that everything is code. Life, DNA is code.
Right.
Life is code. Biology is code. All materials is code. And so the Eastern philosophies really accommodate that worldview. So I can see that becoming very, so you can say, hey, as soon as you're born, you want to be connected because you want to leave a legacy. And the more you can participate in feeding this system, the more your fingerprint will be left in the world, that kind of thing. And so, of course, to raise the stakes, you would want that kill switch to prove your worth, that what you're saying is actually valuable,
It's interesting. I think what you're explaining is more of a Western mindset. I think that might be the angle for the Western mindset for sure. I'm not sure if leaving a legacy and being remembered is necessarily the most important thing in sort of the egoless type of framework. Normative sort of high level Buddhist framework. But I would say for the Western mind, yes, that you could definitely build that case.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
We'll see how it all turns out, I guess.
There we go. Yeah.
The Lord will return to a bunch of Buddhists on meth hooked into VR headsets, demon cats running around, ancient viruses causing plagues. What else? What else do we talk about today?
I don't know, but I could see the explosive VR headset first becoming notable on like the dark web, like streaming scary stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you hear about the creepy stuff on the dark web where people are put in danger like that. You could see this having its first primetime debut somewhere.
Oh, this
in
is
that
a great
crowd.
This is a great centerpiece for like a new Saw movie or something.
I was just thinking that. Yes, very much Saw related. Yeah. All right, let's get out of here before we get too creepy. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We hope you tune in again on Friday. Thank you to our executive producers, Rab Western Russia and Dustin H. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our producers, whether you produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Lots of ways to get involved. But we got a few producers we want to thank who are working hard on the back end, starting with our Clippies.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you to Emsworth and Faye Liverin for working hard clipping the show. Big announcement for those who partake of the show on Spotify or are considering it. The video version of the podcast will now be available on Spotify. So you can watch the video version of the podcast on Spotify. We're still ironing out a couple little details, but if you search Canary Cry News Talk, all separate words, Canary Cry News Talk, you'll see our logo, the Canary Cry seal there on a black background. That is the video version of the podcast. So now you can just watch that. And you don't need to use YouTube. You don't need to use Twitch or Rumble or whatever. Right there on Spotify on your phone, you can watch the video version, kind of like Joe Rogan. And we are still sort of greasing the wheels on the whole back end system, but Faye Liverin has got it locked down. So hopefully the video version of the podcast will be up on Spotify, very shortly after we go live. So go check it out. It's pretty cool.
Thank you, Faye.
Thank you, Faye, who's really been really incredible lately for all sorts of reasons. Thank you to our timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Timestamps are very important, and it is very hard work, very tedious. And thank you to our producer, Jade Bouncerson, for doing the timestamps for 564. It's so important, from appealing to YouTube strikes to creating chapters on podcast apps to keeping track of all sorts of stories long term. The timestamps are incredibly important to the organization. So thank you, Jade B.
Thank you.
Nick, thank you to our social media gal. I got the hiccups.
Thanks so much.
Social media.
Thanks, Dame Miss G of the OV and the Deep Rivers, for making sure the art gets up on the social media.
Yeah, speaking of Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Go to canarycrymeetups.com. You can find all sorts of meetups that are going on around the world. A little light this time of year, but we do have in Silver Dollar City over there in Missouri, the December 11th Canary Cry Meetup at the theme park there. That's very fun. We'll be very jealous. And also on December 11th, we have Dame Miss G of the OV and the Deep Rivers doing a meetup up in Canada, in Ottawa.
Yeah, in Ottawa, Sunday, December 11th at 1:30 p.m. at the Bridgehead Cafe and Coffee Shop, 2745 Iris Street, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
There you go, Canadians. If you're traveling for the Christmas time or whatever, if you're near Ottawa on December 11th, go check it out. You can find all the details over there at canarycrymeetups.com.
Yep, we'll see you there.
This is fun!
Yeah, ratings and reviews. October was one of our best months for ratings and reviews, and so it only serves to reason that November would be one of our worst. Negative 70% growth on ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, which is sad. And the charts are reflecting that. So these ratings and reviews, I know all podcasts are asking you to leave rating and reviews, and it's because it's very important. The ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts really go a long way to help the algorithms share it. New people find the show all the time if we're getting, 5 or more ratings and reviews a week. There are innumerable thousands of you out there listening right now on Apple Podcasts. So if you would leave us a rating and review, it'd really help us out. I know it's like a lot to do, but it just takes like a second. Just takes like a second, and just tell people that you like the podcast and what it means to you. And it makes us feel good, but also new people find it. And I really want new people to find the podcast. So please leave ratings and reviews for me. Do it for me. And
wow,
thank you to those who did. Thanks. I've been working on it.
Okay. Wow, all right.
What was I saying? Yeah, go do it, please. Thank you. We'll read them on the show. It really helps out. And other than that, thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Clinkanifius for the personal assistance. And other than that, share the show, folks. Share it out with your friends, your family, your friends' family, your family's friends. It's the holidays. What better to do than share your weird favorite podcast with all your very normal friends and family? Here's a great way to do it. You don't have to share the show like in a normal way, in a regular way. You should still definitely tweet about it, put it on Facebook, all that stuff. But you should also learn how to knit, and then knit a Canary Cry News Talk Christmas sweater. Yes.
Are we going to wear ugly Christmas sweaters? We should do that this year.
We should, yeah. We should do some sort of maybe producer drive where if we hit a certain goal, every episode we'll wear an ugly Christmas sweater or something like that. Yeah, but if somebody out there, or you don't have to knit it, just get a robotic arm, 2 robotic arms to learn how to knit, and they can knit it for you. Regardless, I want to see an ugly Christmas Canary Cry News Talk sweater. Even if it's just, a digital rendering, I would settle for a digital rendering, but a real sweater would really change the game. And then show up to all those Christmas parties and win the ugly Christmas sweater contest. You can have a sweater, it's got Bill Gates on it, it's got the demon cat, it's got there's a lot of resources, narrative resources to pull from this podcast.
We can just you can maybe just take the calendar, the cover of the calendar, the Canary Cry calendar for 23, and just sort of wrap it around a hoodie.
Maybe that would be a fun contest to have this month. If we get like a shape, like a PDF or something that's the shape of a sweater, and then people can use their skills and design a bad, ugly Canary Cry News Talk Christmas sweater. And then, like, at the end of the year, we can pick a winner, and I don't know, they get a prize or something. That's kind of a fun idea. Yeah, we'll think about that. Yeah. It's not too late. December is starting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Other than that, share the show. We like to call it rattling cages. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do: walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Any last words, Gons?
I don't think so. Yeah. Thank you for November. All of you who came with us through November. One more month, and we will be 2023 and me.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in one last time. Head on over to Canary Cry Supply Drop. Today's the last day. What's the next calendar object on the calendar?
Let me take a peek here. Let's see. The 7th, Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. That's always a good one for me. You know?
Easy one. Yeah. That's an easy one. That one's on the Apple calendar. What's the next funky one?
You're making me work over here. Okay. Let's see.
We're going to have to restart the song.
Ye Old Basil Podcasterson Day, which is the 8th of December.
Okay.
I can't read.
That's a great one. That's an Ye Old Basil Podcasterson Day. That is an old school one. See, these are the fun things that you can enjoy and celebrate.
It's also Pretend to be a Time Traveler Day.
That is one of the official ones, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the same day as the Ye Old Basil Podcaster.
I'm seeing the connection now.
Yep, see the connection.
It's offensive, but I see the connection. Insinuating that I'm faking being a time traveler. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Go to canarycrysupply.com. You've got about 5 more hours to go sign up for the supply drop. This is the one you want to do. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And tune in again, but until then, think outside the cage. It's weird without the music.
Well, you talk too much. Actually, we both talk too much. And last time you said think outside the sleep. So
yeah,
go get some sleep.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
We will hunt you down and make you pay. Give me a break.
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have?
It's okay.
No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
It takes time. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love peeling off that big old lint trap, rolling it into a ball, peeling off that big old lint trap, just like throwing it in the trash, really. Should I be saving this?
No.
You could knit it into a scarf or something?
No.
Surely. It's very soft.
No.
This would make really good fire starter. You are a weird prepper. Hoarder. Like a weird guy, man. Weird prepper. Not normal. Like a weird guy, man. Clearing out that lint trap.
No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. That lint trap. I know it's gross, folks.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love that. I am constantly having to remind remind myself, wear a pink shirt for the show. Constantly having to remind myself, save the dryer lint, use it as fire starter, knit a scarf, save the dryer lint.
I love the Great Reset.
Armageddon's on the way.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye, 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 bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.